Welcome to the Prepare to Shift for Leaders podcast with Dr. Paula Maddox, where each month we explore cutting-edge leadership strategies and best practices that you can apply immediately. Dr. Paula draws from extensive experience working a career with the U.S. federal government and coaching C-suite leaders, executives, and managers from Fortune 50, 100, and 500 companies across the globe. As an author and seasoned executive leadership coach with a doctorate in strategic leadership, Dr. Paula has coached leaders in the U.S. and over 57 countries. By the end of each podcast episode, you'll walk away with proven strategies to lead more effectively, enhance your executive presence, and amplify your leadership impact and influence. Becoming a strategic and impactful leader is challenging, but it's absolutely achievable. Dr. Paula is here to guide and support you on your leadership journey. Here's Dr. Paula.
Welcome to the Prepare to Shift for Leaders podcast series. I am your host, Dr. Paula Maddox, and as an author and global executive leadership coach with nearly 20 years of experience across a wide range of industries in the U.S. and 57 other countries, I have had the privilege of engaging with diverse leaders at all levels. In this podcast series, we will explore leadership topics drawn from real-world observations, insightful conversations, and deep coaching discussions. From the C-suite to thriving entrepreneurs and new hires, this show offers valuable insights and practical advice, no matter where you are in your leadership journey. I'm so thrilled that you are tuning in today. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share this podcast with friends and colleagues. In this series, we will dive into a wide range of leadership topics that will resonate with managers and leaders worldwide. So, in today's show, we will talk about a couple of prominent leadership styles along with their expected outcomes and results. So, do you lead by inspiration or through intimidation? As organizations navigate the return to office and promote employees into leadership roles, it is critical to examine the impact of different leadership styles on workplace culture and performance. With teams adjusting to new dynamics and evolving expectations, leaders must be adaptable and select a leadership style that fosters engagement of their multi-generational workforce. Leaders must remain mindful that some workers are new graduates or a segment of workers who were hired during the shutdown. In both of these scenarios, these workers are entering the work environment for the first time and will need time to adjust to workplace dynamics, relationships, and organizational frameworks. Therefore, it is essential for leaders to understand the distinctions between leading through intimidation and fear versus adopting a leadership style that inspires your workforce to perform at their highest and best performance levels. I want to focus today on two distinct leadership styles. One is inspirational, and the other is intimidating leadership, and their contrasting approaches that yield wildly different results. Inspiring leaders typically empower and inspire others, while intimidating leaders typically control the actions of others through fear. Now, according to author Dr. Peter Norhaus, who is a professor emeritus of communications at Western Michigan University, there are approximately 8 different leadership styles. However, we will explore 2 primary ones in today's show. Just for the purpose of clarification, we as leaders usually adopt aspects of more than one leadership style at any given time. It just depends on how we need to show up and what is needed in a given situation and work culture. That is why leaders must remain agile and adaptive in the way they respond, think, and behave in any given situation. They are always on because they are demonstrating leadership modeling for others who are always listening, watching, and emulating their behaviors. This is happening no matter if you are a high performing adaptive leader or a struggling low performing leader. So let's dive in. Through research and observation, we know teams led by collaborative and inspirational leaders tend to perform at high standards and achieve robust results because collaboration automatically fosters trust, creativity, and accountability, just to name a few. These behaviors are learned as early as 4 to 5 years of age when children become aware of others and their feelings. These skills are so innate that most preschool children have the skills needed to settle their own problems and disputes with classmates with little or no adult intervention. Although preschoolers lack the maturity to master cause and effect sequences, they often possess the emotional maturity to focus on mediating outcomes and focus less on establishing motives. This information is based on an article titled Reviews of Academic Family and General Studies on Conflict Management. This is an interesting study on how to raise effective mediators. So, as always, I will leave the web link to this study in my show notes. Therefore, if we possess these intuitive skills as children, we can certainly exercise these muscles to obtain favorable outcomes as adult leaders as well. So let's talk about 7 main differences between an inspirational leader versus an intimidating leader in several key leadership areas. Let's begin with the area of employee focus. Inspiring leaders focus on the needs of their teams, customers, and stakeholders, while intimidating leaders prioritize their own personal agendas and their egos. Communication is another key leadership area. Inspiring leaders encourage open communication, active listening, and collaboration. Intimidating leaders restrict communication. They also discourage feedback and make decisions without consulting their team. This typically leads to a lack of innovation and creativity within the workspace. It also offers vast opportunities for miscommunication. Another key area is empowerment. Inspiring leaders empower their teams and enable them to take risks and grow professionally. This is how we create more great leaders. On the other end of the scale, intimidating leaders disempower their teams, which makes them feel inadequate and afraid to make decisions. It makes leaders feel insecure and not confident enough to fulfill their duties and job role without the expressed approval of others. In other words, they become too codependent on the intimidating leader that they spend much of their career imitating the same behavior or getting stuck in paralysis analysis. Accountability is another area. Inspiring leaders take responsibility for their actions and are honest and willing to admit their mistakes. Intimidating leaders shift the blame to others and they avoid taking responsibility. Another key area is decision making. Inspiring leaders make decisions with the team's best interest in mind. They take the time to gather input for their team and value different perspectives. Intimidating leaders make decisions based on their own interests without considering the opinion, input, or the needs of the team. Another key area is authenticity. Inspiring leaders are authentic. They embrace their flaws and are willing to be vulnerable to share their successes, missteps, and lessons along their journey. Intimidating leaders often use fear to mask their flaws and insecurities, which increases their ability to be inauthentic and quite untrustworthy. Lastly, is long-term impact. Inspiring leaders increase productivity, employee engagement, and loyalty. They also embrace innovative ideas. Intimidating leaders create short-term focus with long-term negative consequences, such as low morale, high employee turnover, and the lack of innovative ideas. Employees feel too undervalued and constricted to be creative or innovative. So, what are some of the positive benefits and influences of inspirational leadership? I don't think the benefits would surprise many of us, but let's be reminded of what they are. The first major benefit or influence is enhanced engagement. Inspired workers and stakeholders are more engaged with their work. It leads to positive outcomes such as reduced absenteeism, improved retention, commitment to important metrics, and increased customer satisfaction. Another benefit is increased productivity. Teams who feel inspired by their leaders are more than twice as productive as those who are simply satisfied with their jobs. This naturally happens through engagement in any personal or professional relationship scenario. This also enables the leader and the teams to work toward common goals and naturally increases the effectiveness of their work. Another benefit is improved profitability. According to one Gallup survey, increased employee engagement that results from inspirational leadership can actually increase a company's profitability by as much as 23%. This is because inspired employees are more motivated to perform at higher levels and contribute to the company's success. And lastly, one additional benefit is fostering innovation and creativity. Inspirational leaders promote and encourage open communications for others to collaborate cross-functionally and globally, which is essential in fueling creativity and innovative ideas. When teams feel valued and psychologically safe to freely express their ideas, they are more likely to contribute to the company's growth and success. In contrast, different forms of fear-based leadership diminishes productivity and profitability because teams lack psychological safety. Therefore, they are focused on self-preservation instead of the company's goals. Workers will begin to silo themselves due to their inability to trust others or feel they must compete with others to remain employed. Therefore, communication begins to slow down through all the communication channels, and collaboration comes to a grinding halt. This type of fear is paralyzing, not just for the workers, but it's stifling for the organization. It also creates a toxic work environment and hinders the growth of the organization. I don't think this is the goal of any company, but this is what happens when there is not a high level of self-awareness or attentiveness to the health of the organization. A culture of fear easily manifests in organizations and can be identified by observing several behaviors, attitudes, and leadership practices that prioritize intimidation and control. So, how will we know when a fear-based culture is manifesting? According to an article published by consultant Dr. Chelsea Beveridge, there are several obvious signs we should observe. One particular one is silence in meetings. When there is more silence in meetings, than engagement or discussion, it is usually a sign that workers fear retribution if they say something deemed challenging by the top ranking leader in the room. Another sign is when there are sidebars and meetings after the meeting. This happens when workers feel safer to openly voice their true opinions and thoughts among those they trust and not in the meeting. Another sign is low participation in surveys. Workers are quite hesitant to provide feedback or participate in surveys because they, again, fear retribution. Lastly, increased attrition. Organizations with fear culture may experience a high rate of workers leaving their jobs in specific departments or around the entire company. There will be a sudden departure of people without advanced notice, leaving organizations unsupported in key areas. In some instances, workers will quiet quit or retire in place. This means that they will continue to report to work, but they are disengaged and will only do enough to avoid job termination. So, let's circle back to the beginning of this podcast regarding the research confirming that 4 to 5-year-olds have the innate mental capacity to mediate disagreements with a collaborative mindset. Since this is the case, it's natural to ask what hinders us from having such remarkable insights on mediating with a collaborative mindset today as adult leaders and doing it as well as 4 to 5-year-olds do. Well, the answer may lie in our ability or inability to manage our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, or what we commonly label as emotional regulation. Leaders are often placed in high pressure, high stakes, and complex situations on a regular basis. Some leaders are more reactive and emotionally unregulated than others. So, it's imperative for leaders to self regulate regularly and know their potential derailers in moments of high stress and chaos. If you are a leader and you want to know how you will react under pressure or what your potential derailers are, I highly recommend that you consider taking a Hogan Leadership Assessment. I have taken it, and I am also a certified assessor for this leadership assessment tool. I also know that many top global companies, Fortune 500 companies, make this leadership assessment a requirement for leaders who are advancing their careers or preparing for promotion. And sometimes they make their teams take it as well. They believe that this leadership assessment is an important tool because who we are will determine how we lead. Studies also show that nearly 2/3 of people currently in their leadership roles will fail due to their inability to build and maintain their team. And this is totally unwarranted. If you want more information about the Hogan Leadership Assessment, I will leave the web link in today's show notes for your convenience. Leaders who find it challenging to emotionally self-regulate must find productive outlets or processes or systems to manage these emotions. And this is not a new concept. According to Psychology Today, President Abraham Lincoln calmed his anger by writing what he called hot letters to his general. But President Lincoln would set them aside and never send them. He needed to write down and write out his emotions and let the letters sit while he cooled his emotions and was able to successfully self-regulate again. President Roosevelt also wrote 5 to 6 drafts of his fiery narratives before producing his final version of the Fireside Chats. Today, I have coaching clients who self-regulate by taking a 5-minute walk, or by removing themselves from the computer to calm down, or by listening to calming music, or sometimes self coaching to refocus on what really matters. Some clients just take a moment to recall the patience and the empathy shown to them by their leaders and mentors when they began their professional careers. It helped them to remember they should demonstrate the same patience and empathy toward others. The fact is that someone invested in each and every one of us. Therefore, we must also invest in others to ensure we have a crop of healthy and highly effective sound leaders available to us at all times. Now that we've covered a lot of great information, what behaviors and qualities can we exhibit to confirm we are inspiring leaders? Well, inspiring leaders typically showcase 5 leadership characteristics. They will embrace number 1, approachability, or the culture of access where others are comfortable in seeking advice or seeking a place where their opinion matters. However, as leaders, let me share a word of caution. Be careful not to allow yourself to become a crutch or allow others to become codependent upon you. We want to encourage and develop more leaders with accelerated strategic thinking skills. So, check ins and occasional unpacking of topics and situations are perfectly fine. However, if someone needs a reserved parking space in your office daily, this is not fine. Another indication is vision. Vision is another characteristic of inspiring leaders. They have a well-developed vision of the future and know how to inspire followers to take ownership of the vision and become passionate about reaching their goals. Passion is another indication. Inspiring leaders are also passionate leaders who believe strongly in their vision and mission. This in turn fuels their motivation and creates enthusiasm that inspires others. In most cases, their passion becomes contagious and fosters a more engaged and motivated team. Another indicator is authenticity. Inspiring leaders are authentic and comfortable being themselves. They also embrace their flaws and share their experiences with their followers. It creates an environment of psychological safety where others feel confident and comfortable to take risks. Another indicator is integrity. Inspiring leaders also demonstrate their values through their actions, and they are consistent and not uncertain and insecure about their direction. So, all in all, inspiring leaders prioritize people and the needs of their workforce, their teams, and their stakeholders by setting them up to succeed. They also sound different when you pay attention to their leadership communications, narratives, and messages. They are hopeful when times get tough and remain upbeat by acknowledging the situation, but then pivoting to specific reasons to remain hopeful. They seek solutions and the silver lining in each situation because where there is a problem also lies opportunity. They are always looking for the opportunity. In addition, they are relatable when they speak and openly share their struggles, mistakes, and missteps. Their leadership communications stand out most times since we live in a world of highly critical and pessimistic people. Leading up the chain of command is far more challenging than leading down the chain. If you are the highest ranking leader in the room, people have no choice than to listen to you. If you work for a person who leads through intimidation, please know and always remember your value is not diminished because someone is unable to see or acknowledge your worth. That person's opinion of you does not become your reality. So give yourself permission to create your own reality. Let me say that again. Your value is not diminished because someone is unable to see or acknowledge your worth. That person's opinion of you does not become your reality. Give yourself always permission to create your own reality. We all seek ways to become better versions of ourselves daily. Be an effective and inspirational leader by developing trustful relationships and building strong relationships with your teams. You want people to follow you not because they have to, but because they want to. You want people to see and admire something in you that they want to learn and demonstrate in their leadership journey. So if you ever lose sight of what type of leader you should be, remind yourself to be the type of leader you always wanted to work for. That should be enough to help you refocus and get back on track. In summary, leadership is not about wielding power or demanding compliance. That's really not leadership. That's called domination. True leadership is about inspiring individuals, fostering collaboration, and creating positive and trusting work environments where everyone can grow, thrive, and bloom. We've taken the time today to highlight and unpack the principles and practices of inspiring leadership, while also highlighting the counterproductive nature of fear-based leadership. Know which one you are and which one you desire to be. That's a wrap, fellow leaders. Thank you again for sharing your time with me today. If this leadership podcast has been helpful to you, please support others in their leadership development as well by smashing the like, follow, subscribe, or share buttons, and feel free to leave a gracious comment. I look forward to joining you again next month as I unpack another leadership topic impacting our work culture today. Until then, invest in yourself and keep leading well.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Prepare to Shift for Leaders podcast with Dr. Paula Maddox. Be sure to join us again on the first Monday of every month for more powerful leadership strategies. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to follow on Apple or Spotify and leave us a glowing review. For more information about Dr. Paula and to download her free PDF titled Leadership Communications, the Top 5 Tips, please visit her website at www.preparetoshift.com. That is prepare, the number 2, shift.com.